a very good friend, and he's a brother, and he's a child of God. I've known him for several years now, and it's a privilege to have him. And to mention, Dr. Koleke is one-time president of the Christian Medical and Dental Association, CMD. Student of CMDS then. Was it CMDS when you were there? Or it was there? Yeah, so he was one time national president of the CMDA students, now CMDA doctors, and he's a very, very active member of the CMDA, serving in different capacity, and currently he's a senior registrar in community medicine and Federal Teaching Hospital, Ido. And we are so privileged to have him. He's a very busy man. So thank you, sir. If you know how long I've been chasing him to get this. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation tonight. For the privilege. Then I know that you are going to be a very big blessing to us. You have the floor, sir.
All right, sir. Good evening, everybody. Let me start by appreciating my dear brother, Dr. Munkayode, for this privilege. I count it a huge honor to be here tonight. I won't want to boast because we have several stories to tell how we met 6 years ago. We thank God for what He's doing in our lives. So quickly tonight, we'll be sharing on something very important about our health. Like we all know, health is wealth. Health is wealth. And so anything that borders on our health should be given utmost attention. And so today, like he told me, we are looking at hypertension. Know your numbers. So I like that caption. You need to know your numbers. And then, why is this important? See, as a medical doctor, I've seen patients die. I've seen patients, towards the last few minutes of their lives. And one thing I've discovered is that people don't value their health until when they're about losing it. So, an important topic like hypertension that is responsible for many, morbidities and mortalities needs to be given the needed attention. So why hypertension? Hypertension is a global epidemic. It kills a lot of people in the world. It causes a lot of, deformities, abnormalities, and even death. So that's why it's quite, important. As a matter of fact, some studies see that it affects about 1.6 billion of the about 8 billion people in the world. That's more like 1 in every 6 person you see have hypertension. And the statistics is even higher in the elderly. Okay, so it's quite important. But what is hypertension to even begin with? Hypertension is when, the force with which blood flows through the vessels, when it becomes higher than normal, so that it begins to, contact or impinge on the vessels carrying the blood and all the organs on its way. So it affects the heart, the blood vessels, the brain, the eyes, the kidneys, name it. Because the blood is life, blood needs to flow to everywhere. So that is why it is quite, it is very, very, very important. And so we even call it the silent killer, because it does not give, most often than not, it doesn't give any warning signal. You've heard stories of, I saw the person yesterday. We were seeing the meeting together up till late into the night yesterday. At last the person is gone. So that's to tell you, the danger of poorly controlled hypertension. Having said that, we need to also have an idea of what are the risk factors. What are the things that predispose people to having hypertension? So broadly speaking, we have two of them. We have the modifiable, that is the ones you can do something about, and the non-modifiables, those you cannot do anything about. Alright, those risk factors. So which ones are the non-modifiable that you can do nothing about? Age is one of them. As people advance in age, the chances of coming with hypertension gets higher. Also, we have family history. Some people, their parents, their uncles, grandparents, have or had hypertension. Genetics, the same thing. And we also have ethnicity. Studies have shown that amongst the black race, the chances of having hypertension is higher. So those are some that you cannot do anything about. Those risk factors, you can't do anything about them. You can't do anything about your age. You're going to get older with time. But we have some that you can do something about, and we call those modified, and those are the ones I want us to pay attention to. One of them is our diet. High salt intake. Most Nigerians like salt. I think Yoruba people, for instance, they eat a lot of salty food. High salty intake or high salt intake is no good as far as hypertension is concerned. The other thing is low physical activity. See, some people, they don't do exercises. They just sit behind on their chairs for hours, and that cycle continues day in, day out. That is a risk factor. As a matter of fact, WHO says inactivity is as deleterious as tobacco in terms of the impact it has on our health generally. But with emphasis on hypertension, inactivity is a major modifiable factor that we need to work on. Unhealthy diet, high fats, high saturated fats, all of that can affect or can trigger hypertension. Low fruit intake, low vegetable intake can also be a major risk factor. Alcohol. Before now there was this saying that if you can take a bit of alcohol, but the cardiologists have told us that recently, that's old school information. The best you can do for your heart is to stay away from alcohol. Also, we have tobacco. Being overweight or obesity, being overweight, but that is when we use a subjective way of calculating your body mass index. Your body mass index, when you use the weight divided by the square of your height. Okay, we have ranges for that. But usually, when you begin to have above 24.9 or 24.5, you are beginning to tilt towards overweight. When you have above 30, you are falling within the obesity range. Alright, so that's another risk factor. Stress, very important. Poor sleep. In this part of the world, I'm talking about in Nigeria, for instance, a lot of people get stressed. In the name of looking for money, people don't take care of themselves. Somebody said people spend so much running after money, and eventually when they have money, they now have to spend so much time using that same money to take care of their health. So a wise person would try to balance things, to ensure that you don't break down your health in the quest for looking for money. Also, we have coexisting conditions like diabetes, kidney problems. All of these could also constitute risk factors. Please, how many minutes do I have so I keep to time? Let me, moderator, sir. How many minutes do I have? I want to work with time. Can you hear me, sir? I can't hear you. How many minutes do I have?
Sorry, I'm muted. Ideally should be 30 minutes, 40 minutes for the lecture, and then 15 minutes for question and answer.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So I want to be sure I'm not behind the time. All right. So then let's move. Since I have just few minutes to go. Now let's look at what is the danger with high blood pressure, because if you don't know the danger, you may not know why you should give it attention. You may not know why you should pay attention to your numbers. All right. Now, when we say hypertension, what does it mean to the layman? I try to explain to my patients using things they can relate with. So when you have a pumping machine, the pumping machine is in the well, in the borehole, deep down, and you want to know the pressure with which that pumping machine is pumping water to your house. So you go to the kitchen and you pick a pipe and you put a monitoring agent or equipment on that pipe, because you can't go into the well or into the borehole. So that pipe in the kitchen gives you an idea of the pressure of the pumping machine. So similarly, that pumping machine can be likened to your heart. Our heart is one of our most precious organs, if not the most precious after the brain. It starts beating even in utero, that is when you were in the womb. And when it stops beating, that person is no longer permitted, to be alive. So a wise person pays attention to the health of his or her heart. All right. So that explanation is key. Another thing that is important is when there's persistent high flow, forceful flow as a result of high blood pressure, it damages the arterial wall. All right. So it damages the elasticity, the ability to expand of the arterial wall. And before you know it, the arterial wall now becomes stiffen. It becomes very stiff. Okay, that stiffen state of the heart now begins to make it hard to apply more pressure to push blood through it. And when that happens, there's a resultant effect on the heart. All right, so over time, the muscles of the heart begin to get weaker, and that's what we call left ventricular hypertrophy. It becomes expanded, it becomes enlarged, the walls become widened, all right, becomes thicker, and before you know it, that the heart is now weak. Some people, they climb the staircase, they start, panting. You see fluid accumulating in their legs, in their fluid, in their lungs. They begin to cough. They need to have what we call fruity, sputum, all right. So with time, it begins to affect other organs. And when you begin to see those swellings, those facial swelling, leg swelling, abdominal swelling, it's a warning sign that the heart is beginning to fail. Call it heart failure. All right. So we must understand this progress, this cycle, because somebody will say, like most people say, doctor, my heart is good, doctor, I'm fine. It's just that something happened yesterday. You need to pay attention to your numbers. All right, so let's move from there. Let's look at the numbers. When we say numbers, what is the normal number? Let's begin with that. We have several classifications, all right, that tries to address the number. Several authorities, from the American college, from the European college, cardiologists, specialists, but across board, a normal blood pressure. What's a normal blood pressure? We have two parameters. We have the one that is above and one that is below. Let me use layman term. So the one that is above, we call it systolic. The one below is diastolic. So by the time you have less than 120, less than 80, all right, less than 120 for the one above, less than 80 for the below, we'll say that is normal. All right, that's good. And that doesn't mean you now go below 90. So less than also has a clause attached to it. If somebody is beginning to have less than 80 for the one above and less than 60 for the one below, that was another case for another P. That was hypo, which is also bad. All right. So having said that, we now have what we call elevated. We call it elevated. We call it pre-hypertension. All right. So when you have between 120 for the one above to 129. Is elevated. It's a warning sign that hello, something's wrong. Take care of your heart, take care of your body. Now, if the one below 2 is below 180, it's still pre-hypertension. Then you have what we call stage 1 hypertension or mild hypertension. If the one above is between 130 and 139, okay, You can see his smile. He won. All right, meaning that at that point, that person does not have excuse. 130, 139. Your doctor will do some lifetime modification, especially if it's persistent. Bear in mind, if it's persistent, you can't use one value to label somebody as hypertension. Somebody that just ran into the clinic had not rested because it's high. You can say, oh, okay, you have hypertension. No, but when you measure it 1 or 2 times and it's persistently high, then you might begin to pay attention. So the one above 130 to 139, 80 to 89, we say it's stage 1 or mild. The one if you now have it above 140 for the one above, and the one below above 90, stage 2, moderately high. If you are in this category, don't let anybody deceive you. All right, start your drugs, use your drugs. All right, very important. Then of course you can have severe stage 3, severe hypertension, when you begin to have above 180. Some people move. I've seen patients with 2 something moving around. That's a bomb. That's the time bomb. Waiting to happen. Above 180 for the one above 110 for the one below. And even in some cases, they are already organ damage. They begin to have issues with their kidneys. They begin to have issues with their sight. All right. So you can begin to have things like hypertensive crisis, hypertensive emergencies. Some people, they begin to see blood, in their urine when they do urinalysis and what have you. So that's very important. All right. So we move on from there. What are some what I call misconceptions about hypertension? So many information out there, guys, that are just jumps. One of them, they will tell you, patient will tell you, look, doctor, I have hypertension. It's not in our blood. My brother, hypertension is a silent killer. Maybe your parents did not even check their blood pressure. Who told you that they were not hypertensive? So don't ever accept that maxim that I can't have it. They don't have it in our family. Know your number. Check. Double check. Alright. Another thing they will tell you is that doctor, if hypertension runs in my family, nothing can be done about it. Some people accept that it runs in their family and they believe nothing can be done about it. That's a misconception. Something can be done about it. You can control your blood pressure. Alright, so that's another misconception that people try to and some people will tell you, I feel normal, I'm okay, no headache. So that you are okay doesn't mean there are no damages taking place silently. So it's not enough to say I'm okay, doctor, you don't worry about I'm okay. No. You need to pay attention. Don't wait till some things begin to damage. Don't wait till when people begin to have renal issues, that's kidney issues. Some people will wear glasses because of hypertension. So don't wait till when you have damage. You don't that your blood is persistently high. My brother, my sister, my uncles, my daddies and mommies, quickly start your drugs. Then some also will tell you that I don't eat salt too. I don't put extra salt in my food. But you eat a lot of processed food. You eat a lot of junks with salt. You need to take note of that. Cut down your and some people they don't have extra salt on their dining table. See, this salt is for daddy. After mommy has cooked food, daddy will still put the salt is not much. Put extra salt. No. You are not helping yourself at all. So please, these are just some of those preconceptions that then some people say, natural remedy, garlic and ginger. That cannot take the place of your drugs. Okay? In as much as we encourage you to eat some of those, they have their own place, but they can't substitute the place for your drugs. So still take your drugs. Alright? While you work on your diet, you work on your exercise, your body, you take it off, you rest properly, vegetables, fruits, all of these are important. And even if you are healthy in quotes, just a diversion, prevention is better than cure. Pay attention to all of this. As you age, usually from age 40 and above, you must begin to treat your body with care. There are some things you did as a youth that you should stop. I, for one, the last time I took anything outside water was it's going to 2 years now. Yeah, I'm above 40. It's discipline. It's discipline. But you can discipline yourself. Not because I'm diabetic, but because I just feel sugar is not good for my body. So you can make a vow. You can not say make a vow. I know in the church. You can become disciplined. You can make up your mind that this is not good for my body. This alcohol is not good for my body. This cigarette is not good for my body. This eating bokoto and fatty food, meat pie, all of those, not good for my body. I want to live long, but you have a responsibility. So as we begin to short, I know there will be questions that will lead me to answering some of these other things. Number one, measure. I want to leave us with this. You need to measure, you need to detect, you need to treat, and you need to control. Okay. Somebody say, what you don't know, you don't know. What you don't know, you must learn. What you don't learn, you will pay for. So you need to measure your. Go and check your blood pressure. Know your number. Go and check. Then detect if you're ready. So if a nurse or a healthcare worker tells you, your BP is high, don't discard it. Don't argue with them. I know of somebody who I was working. He was arguing with me. He said, I don't have it. I said, I don't have it. You doctor, you always like to push hypertension on somebody. Eventually, he had stroke, and he was laid off. As in, he was laid off. Very pathetic story. So please, let's do what we can do. And I trust. As a matter of fact, I've seen teenagers with hypertension. Yeah, I once worked where I had a pool of teenage patients. Teenagers with hypertension, an 18-year-old, 90-year-old with hypertension. So it's not, that's another misconception. No. Some people are young have it. So just to take a break so that we can respond to some questions, and if there are no questions, I'll just take it off from there and round off. Thank you, Dr. Mukayode, once again for the privilege. I think we'll spend over 25 minutes or 27 minutes. Let me entertain some questions so we can move on from there. Over from my end.
Thank you very much, Dr. Leke. Wow, that was very, very explanatory. That was down to earth. Like, it's so practical. I don't have any questions here yet, but from the things that you said, if you want to live long, you have a responsibility. What you don't know, you don't know. And that we can actually make a vow to live long by taking responsibility on knowing what our numbers is. Yeah. Some of the things that I would have just loved you to shed some light on, the role of herbal medications, herbs in management of hypertension, also stroke in the young people. Some people feel it's only for the elderly. Yeah, that's another area. And then some people feel that, okay, I have the drugs, I can only use my medication when the numbers are high, Some people will take their blood pressure and it's high, use the medication. I just want to shed some light in that regard before we round it up. Alright, thank you. If you have questions, please feel free to send it in. We're going to take it. Thank you very much.
Alright, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Important question. So let's begin with the first one. Herbal medications, right? Yeah. When we've seen a lot of people, personally, I've seen some of my clients, who have been convinced that they should drop their orthodox medications Some of them are, I try to counsel them, but you can't force people. At times you allow them experiment and learn. So from my experience, some of them have come to realize that the place, these drugs that we give, they go through different trials. Okay? The dosage, the potency, the safety. And so before they come out, they've gone through a lot. But in the name of, a lot of people have been deceived, especially when you know that an ailment or a condition, a medical condition has a lot of traffic. They go to the social media space and they deceive unsuspecting clients. They tell them, if you use this once, if you can use it for 1 week, it will clear all your blood vessels, it will wash everything, BP will disappear. Men and brethren, a lot of people have died untimely because of that, because of those deceptions. So one of my patients, for instance, when he came to me with these drugs, I said, okay sir, no problem. Since you have been convinced that these herbal drugs will do the work, all right, let's experiment with you, sir. Use them, but you'll be coming for checkup. So by the time he came for checkup, after, like 6 weeks, and he saw the graph, that his blood pressure was going up and up, okay, he came to the realization, like the prodigal son. He came to himself and said, you Lumo, you get it? So a lot of people deceive the clients, medically uneducated, and with all this, and some people take it to the detriment of their kidneys. That's why we have a lot of people having renal issues, kidney failure. A lot of factors are fashioned. You say, this drug work for this person, but your composition is different. So summary on that is, please stay with your drugs. Stay with your drugs that have been properly, reviewed, gone to different trials. Stay with them. Don't bank on herbal stuff. I speak to you as a medical doctor with over 10 years experience. So I speak to you with somebody who is passionate about hypertension because of personal stories that I have about hypertension. Secondly, stroke in the young. Yes, stroke is not limited to the elderly. I've seen young patients with... Sorry, I have a call. Let me just decline it. I have seen young patients who came down with stroke. Okay? And what are the risk factors majorly? Some of them family history. I've seen patients who said, no, don't give antihypertensives to my son. Yeah. Some of them, they use recreational drugs. Some of them have underlying medical issues, renal issues. So it's not limited to, it's not limited to only the elderly. Young people, especially if you, that's why I emphasize from 18 years and above. Take your children, let them check their blood pressure. It won't do any harm. They only use drugs when it is high. This is a major issue. Any doctor will tell you that. Patients don't like to use their drugs. They will tell you, doctor, it has come down. Doctor, this is okay. And I try to tell them, the ones you use is the one that is controlling your blood pressure. If you remove the lead by not using the drug, it's just a matter of time. It will shoot up again. Alright, so please, the drugs, it's only your doctor that can modify your drugs or moderate the intake. And if the doctor can reduce the number, he can reduce the dosages. Alright, so leave that responsibility to your doctor. Be compliant. You have a responsibility, like I keep saying, to live long. You have a responsibility to take, care of yourself. So I tell people, either you use your drugs and live long, and you don't use it and you cross off earlier. Which do you prefer? Then I need to also add this before I hand over to. How do I measure my blood pressure? It's very important. If you are going to know my numbers, I must know how to do it well. So very important, you need to, before you check your blood pressure, you must have rested for at least 5 minutes. Alright, maybe you've come from a busy walk or you going to do exercises, you must rest for about at least 5 minutes. They must be well positioned. Your feet must be against the floor, your back against the chair, your arm at the level of your heart. Face the camera. So now you can't be checking blood pressure and be talking or be eating. No. Get your numbers right. Also discover that some cases you have 3 different numbers. Some people will tell you try and do 3, but especially for those who are use digital stick or blood pressure machine. Average, all right, very important. So this and then not that you have just finished taking caffeine containing drugs, containing stimulants. Not that you have just finished exercising or you just finished a task. You need to be well rested, all right, and don't be afraid. It's what we call wine hospital. Don't be afraid of high blood pressure. Don't relax. All right, relax. It's not a death sentence. We've seen people live up to 100. Yes, with hypertension, with drugs. It's not a death sentence. So please, it's like I'm taking it too personal. Let me relax it. Over my head, sir.
Thank you very much. I can see how passionate you are about this hypertension of a thing. It's just so sad when you see people die from preventable cause. It's very sad. When you see people have stroke is very preventable. And in Nigeria, stroke is like, if you have a major stroke, it's like a death sentence. It affects you, it affects your family, it affects everything about it. It affects your work. You might not be able to go back to your baseline. You might not be able to go back to the way you were before. So, and you use your antihypertensive regularly. The risk of having stroke, it's reduced significantly. So, I can see how passionate you are trying to tell people, use your drug, but it's just sad that people don't listen. People don't listen, and that's why we are having this webinar. That's why we are doing our quota to help people live long. That's why we are doing our home bit, And most of us, if we are not even hypertensive, Dr. Leke has mentioned that one of the modifiable risk factor is family history. It means that if your parents are hypertensive, you are entitled to it 50%. If anything your parents has, you are entitled to having it. We did a webinar on family mapping. I took a webinar on family mapping on this platform a few weeks back. We were talking about different non-communicable diseases, that people are at risk of, like cancer, like hypertension, diabetes, and all of that. When you see that your parents are hypertensive, it tells you something that you're also entitled to being hypertensive. And if you have parents that are hypertensive and they are not using their drugs, you know that it's a time bomb waiting to explode. If they have a stroke, they're going to be the one to pay for the CT scan. They will do the brain CT. They will go to the hospital. You will take time off to check on them. And God forbid, if they eventually die, you are in the area. This is the hard truth. It's a hard truth. So that responsibility lies on each and every one of us when you have people that are hypertensive, to look after them, to make sure that they use their drugs. If you have uncles, if you have cousins that are hypertensive, they should use their drugs. The cure to hypertension has not been found, like you rightly said. The goal is safe, but it can be well managed, it can be well controlled. It can be well controlled with the use of medications, that have been tested and trusted shown to be effective in reducing blood pressure. So if all of these things are done and they are put in place, hypertension is preventable. No one should die from stroke. No one should die from complications of hypertension like chronic kidney disease, stroke, having getting numbness and tingling sensations on the hands and feet. So we don't even need to get to that point if we follow everything that our guest speaker has said. He said, just to summarize everything again, he said we should measure it, dictate it, we should treat it, and we should control it. So if you are able to do all of that, it goes a long way preventing us from having complications from hypertension. And one major thing I learned from this seminar is the fact that, previous study that has shown that the use of little alcohol, does not have effect. I didn't know that. This is proof that.
Yes, cardiologists have taught us that. That's old school. Old school. Knowledge is progressive, right?
Yeah, knowledge is on the increase. Yeah.
They hold on, but they no longer hold water now. That used to be what some people hide behind. It's cardio protective. This it protects my heart. But now the cardiologists have come to tell us stay away totally from alcohol. Yeah.
Well, and that is clear. Stay away totally from alcohol. Like, stay away from alcohol. It's not that you take small cup, small shots. It's so, and as well as other modifiable risk factors. Like you have rightly tell us. Just to get back to you, what will be your final words for us as we round up this webinar?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Nkayode. The campaign against hypertension is everybody's responsibility. Whether you're in Nigeria like myself or you're in UK like Dr. Nkayode, it's your responsibility. Personalize it. Buy speak. Take it to your church. Go to the marketplace. Get a healthcare worker. Go to your community. Let them be screened. Alright? All you need is a healthcare worker with the medical know-how and with his manometer, that's the BP machine. You'll be surprised that if you screen like 10 people, at least about 3 of them, adults I mean now, about 2-3 of them will have hypertension. By just doing that, you are trying to elongate their lives. So let it not end there. Let the discussion, continue even after this place. Let us be proactive about it. Let not just be reactive. Being reactive is when somebody now has stroke. I've gone to, I have a client, a patient who stopped his stroke. He was using supplement. Then he had stroke. They called me. I went to his house to go and carry him. So let's not be being reactive. Let's be proactive. Let's go out there. Let's shout it on the mountain top. This hypertension is a silent killer. Let's save the lives of people. And then God will help us.
Thank you very much. You see, it's just sad that people don't listen. If you have parents that are hypertensive, if you have uncles, cousins, each time you call them, ask them, have they used their drugs? It's everybody's responsibility.
Please.
And it doesn't cost a fortune to know if you're hypertensive or not. All you just need is a speak. Even if you walk to most healthcare facilities, they are going to do your blood pressure for you without collecting a fee. So getting blood pressure check is not an issue. And another good thing is most antihypertensive drugs are not expensive. They are not expensive.
Yeah, some are expensive, but I advise my clients go for the cheap one that you can sustain.
Yeah, it's better for you to buy. Yeah.
Buy the simple and go the pain, 100 naira or 500 naira.
Moderate,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the moderating, the lisinopril, just something basic. That you use it, you'll be fine. Yeah. And
yes.
Share this webinar too. I guess it's on YouTube, right?
Yes, it will be saved on the page.
Right. I want to encourage all our viewers, please do well to subscribe. Do well, share to send it to a friend, share with a friend, share on your groups, let people listen. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Thank you once again for the privilege, sir.
Yeah, so I leave us with this quote. You might have heard me before say it. Recite the quote that says, if you take your food like medicine, so that you don't have to take medicine like food. And if you're hypertensive, use your drugs. And my last quote comes from Professor Busari, a cardiologist. He's a very plain man. He's very straightforward. He says, if you don't use your drugs, if you come for my clinic, if you don't use your drugs, you will come to the emergency. If you don't come for my clinic, you will come to the emergency. And if you don't come to the emergency, you will eventually come to mortuary.
In my church, you will take off for bits.
It's just the fact that if you are not regular on your drugs, you may eventually end up with stroke in the emergency, and that's if you are alive enough, you eventually end up in the mortuary. So it's not to send fear, it's just to encourage us to take responsibility. If you're hypertensive, use your drugs. If you know your numbers, if you're hypertensive, your drugs. If you are not hypertensive, keep checking your numbers. If you have people that are hypertensive, your parents, your uncles, encourage them to use their drug. Thank you very much, Dr. Leke, for honoring our request to be on this webinar. And so this is where we are going to be rounding up for this webinar tonight. And then we usually have this webinar once in a month, and we are going to have another one next month, by God's grace. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have been blessed. Please, like I said, let's try to share the video with our loved ones so that they can get blessed too. Thank you very much, Dr. Leke. Hopefully we have you soon when you are free on your schedule. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.